Don't you just love the refreshing taste of a cold can of Coke? There's nothing quite like it, especially on a sunny day. This sweet fizzy drink is beloved all over the world. More than 1.9 billion servings of Coca-Cola are enjoyed in more than 200 countries daily. Still, what if I told you that Coca-Cola, a renowned brand, has its origins rooted in the coasts of West Africa? It's all in the name, Coca-Cola. This iconic brand's name comes from an African nut that holds great value and culture. Yet, most people don't know this fact, and as a result, Africa's contribution to Coca-Cola's origin story is unrecognized. So, what happened to the cola nut, and can it be brought back to its former glory? Today, we will explore the worlds that intersect between one of the most powerful brands on earth and the revered African cola nut. My name is Chisom Enelama.
And I'm Chika Dunga. This is Plates Without Borders, produced by African Food Changemakers.
Kola nut is quite significant for my family. My family originally are from Kankan, Guinea. Kola nut is the trade that took them to Sierra Leone. My great-grandmother and her family moved to Sierra Leone from buying and trading, moving kola nuts from Kankan, Guinea into Sierra Leone and selling them and buying gold and returning back to Guinea.
Here's Chef Maria Bradford. She'll introduce herself to you.
I was born and raised in Sierra Leone, Freetown. I live in the UK in Kent with my family, my husband and my 2 kids. And I'm a chef. I promote traditional Sierra Leonean as well as Afro-fusion.
Maria is the founder of Shwen Shwen, an award-winning catering business in Kent, England. Her first cookbook, Sweet Salone, celebrates the culture and recipes of Sierra Leone. She's an expert on kola nuts and can teach us a thing or two about its value.
Kola nuts has always been valuable, not just in Sierra Leone, but the rest of West Africa. Before currencies and monies were used, kola nuts was a currency, and it's still kind of a valuable commodity and a valuable ingredient in Sierra Leone. Locally, we don't get married. If you want to do a traditional wedding, or if it's Sierra Leoneans getting married, we do not go through weddings and that without kola nuts present. Even during the location shoots for Sweet Salone, every single village that we entered and traveled through, we were presented as a welcoming thing, as a sign of respect, with kola nuts in a calabash and broken and given to us to eat.
West Africans weren't the only ones who saw the value of the kola nut. In the 19th century, kola nut was a trending topic in Western scientific journals because of its medicinal properties.
By the mid-1880s, long articles on kola nuts were running in all the drug journals, praising the nuts as a hangover cure and a stimulant.
This is Mark Pendergrast, author of For God, Country, and Coca-Cola, which was named a New York Times Notable Book of the Year.
My name is Mark Pendergrast. I've written a couple of books related to caffeinated beverages, and I ended up talking about kola nuts a bit in both of them, but particularly in my Coca-Cola history. I got interested in it because I originally grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where Coca-Cola was invented in the mid-1880s. And John Pemberton, who was the man who invented it.
Pendergrast's book chronicles the kola nut's growing popularity in the pharmaceutical community. Here's him reading an excerpt from an article he included in his book.
Here's a quote from one of them. Like Coca-Cola enables its partakers to undergo long fast and fatigue, read one 1884 article. 2 drugs so closely related in their physiological properties cannot fail to command early universal attention. A lot of these articles talked about the fact that kola nuts had been used by Africans that were chewed for extra energy, identified with local deities, and taken as an aphrodisiac. And so they had been a part of African life for centuries and were often considered a sacred plant because of these nuts.
Among the fans for kola nut was a young pharmacist named John Pemberton who lived in Atlanta, Georgia.
Pemberton originally was basically a patent medicine maker. He was trained as a pharmacist as well, but not the way you would think of it now. It was more of a self-taught thing. But he was very scholarly and well-read, so he started out by using plants that were native to Georgia and the United States. But Pemberton became really fascinated with the qualities of the coca plant from South America, which of course contains cocaine, and cola nuts from West Africa, which contains caffeine and other products.
The motivation behind Pemberton's fascination was his desire to break free of a morphine addiction. He tinkered with recipes to create natural remedies to replace morphine. One of them ended up being the precursor to the first Coca-Cola recipe. One day, he accidentally mixed carbonated water with his medicinal syrup concoction, and voila, Coca-Cola was born. Coca-Cola folklore has it that Pemberton carried a jug of the product to a nearby pharmacy where it was packaged, branded, and sold as a fountain drink for 5 cents a bottle, averaging 9 sales per day. Eventually, the rights were purchased, and a branding genius decided to call the drink Coca-Cola, paying homage to the key ingredients coca from South America and cola nut from West Africa. The K in cola nut was changed to a C to look nicer. Several years later, 2 states north of Georgia, Pepsi Cola was founded in North Carolina. Pepsi also used cola nut in its original recipe. However, within a short period, both companies stopped using the African nut because it was too expensive.
They didn't want to spend the money on importing cola nuts from Africa.
Now, Coca-Cola gets its caffeine from other sources. And that's the story of cola nut's short moment on the global stage. With its exit, the inspiration for Coca-Cola's iconic name was also lost.
It's somewhat ironic that most people don't know that Coca-Cola is named after those 2 original principal drug ingredients. People don't stop to think, oh, coca comes from cocaine, from the coca leaf, and that cola comes from Kola is the correct spelling, and that it's this caffeine-containing nut with a long and honorable history in Africa.
How ironic. I mean, I'm Nigerian American, and I'm familiar with both Coca-Cola and cola nut. If anyone should connect the dots, it should be me. But I never made the connection. What about you, Chisum?
No, I haven't either, and honestly, I've never even eaten cola nut. And I actually grew up in Nigeria.
Since its short-lived relationship with Coca-Cola, the cola nut hasn't seen the global stage again. Presently, West African food is growing in popularity in the West, but the cola nut's rich legacy isn't crossing over the Atlantic. This cultural disconnect puts an ingredient that even Coca-Cola once valued in danger of being left on the fringes.
It's a shame that, I don't know if it's as valued as it was before. We have companies here in the UK and more West Africans are using it and making sure that, it's not an ingredient that is completely lost, because it is quite important to us. It's not something that we have traditionally we've used to cook, but it has been such a significant thing for our daily lives that we cannot afford to lose it.
Beyond culture, cola nut could be more popular because of its stimulant properties. However, it's not traded globally, which limits its exposure to countries. But it's found appreciation among niche consumers seeking natural remedies for energy boosts and slimmer waistlines.
Wait, do you mean granola crunchers?
Not quite, but I'm sure granola crunchers would love cola nut. Man, I wish I could taste the original Coca-Cola recipe. I wonder, is there any chance of restoring the cola nut to its former glory? Are there even any other drink companies that are using cola nut in their cola beverages?
Well, Chica, that dream is already in the works. There are boutique beverage companies that use real cola nuts in their cola drinks. A prominent leader is Karma Drinks, a beverage company based in New Zealand with offices in London. A visit to their website clearly states what they're about.
To quote one of our founders, the West African people who discovered cola have not made a cent from the world's most popular fizzy drink. We thought it was about time somebody did something about that. So we made Karma Cola.
Karma Drinks makes their cola drink with cola nuts sourced directly from Sierra Leone. Let's meet a key player in their story, Albert Tucker, chairman of the Karma Foundation.
I have, for the last 35 odd years, been working with food, agriculture, and ethical business. I've also had a particular interest in Africa's place in that because I feel it has always been underrated. So I've been quite passionate about making sure people know it. A lot of quality products come from Africa. A lot of what they consume comes from Africa.
Albert helped the founders of Karma Cola establish a partnership with a cola nut farming cooperative in Sierra Leone. Their business model is simple. The people who discovered cola nuts should make money from it.
So Karma Drinks is now about 12, nearly 13 years old, I think. I was very active in the fair trade movement at that time. So I was looking at cocoa, for example, from Sierra Leone. And in the midst of all of this, somebody from New Zealand called me and said, "Oh, Albert Tucker, you don't know us. We've been talking to colleagues of yours, people in the fair trade movement who know your work. We are looking to set up a drink that is the most ethical drink in the world and only has natural ingredients in it. The one product we can't track and we don't know where it comes from and we can't find it fair trade, ethical or whatever was the cola nut, which we understand is what gave the drink its name. And the first product was going to be a cola drink called Karma Cola. So I said, well, it's funny you should be saying that. I'm right at the home of cola nuts in West Africa and in Sierra Leone in particular. And I can source you cola nuts, but you really need to do it in a way that promotes the origins. So we made an agreement.
Karma Drinks partners with the farming cooperative to fund initiatives to support the villages that supply their cola nuts.
We created a foundation to work with these communities who are protecting this village. 8 villages of about now 3,000 or 3,200 people.
Karma Drinks' emphasis on doing good business resonates with retailers. Karma Cola is available in Australia, New Zealand, in all the countries in the UK and some parts of Europe like Sweden and Finland.
The story we tell to buyers is most of these stores, the large retailers, they have values around their corporate responsibilities or being seen to be doing the right thing by the people they do business with. So that's one of our starting points. The fact that we are organic and fair trade for some is a draw. Also, we tell the stories about what we're doing in Sierra Leone and engage with them.
But it's not just fair trade tree huggers that like Karma Drinks. A standout product must have a key element in the competitive food consumer packaged goods industry. It must taste good.
A lot of the coffee shops who value taste and quality very highly stock our drinks.
From Albert's perspective, it's not a hard sell.
One of the people I worked with when I started doing this work was Anita Roddick, the founder of the Body Shop, who was a phenomenal woman. She grew that business by doing business differently. And so she was a bit more expensive and she still grew a global business. I asked her one time, how does she make a case for ethical business? And she said to me, well, you don't. What you say to people is, do you want to do business in a way that exploits people and the environment, or don't you? That's the question you've got to ask yourself.
Just to the southeast of London and Kent, Chef Maria Bradford keeps cola nut alive through innovative recipes.
I've been kind of trying to mix it with alcohol and make drinks with it. I haven't perfected that yet. I've kind of been trying to use cola nuts more in the way that where the experience that I had with it was used as a welcoming. So the biscuits and the cookies and everything, or the drinks that I keep working on, it's all about just using it still in that way, in that traditional way, when people come to my studio, and making things that welcome them into my studio, just like as if they're breaking into a Kola Nut. The biscuits, it's all about that.
And when it comes to the possibility of Kola Nut reclaiming its global stage like it did in the 19th century, she's optimistic. Kola Nut has a similar profile to coffee. And one thing we know is that Americans and Europeans love coffee.
Do I think Kola can be popular, or it's possible to be popular here in the West? Yes, I do believe that. It's got the similar properties to coffee. And there are lots of ways that we can use it. And the more and more chefs know about it and know the flavor profile of it, the more they're willing to experiment with it.
But she believes that ultimately, the African diaspora is responsible for valuing their food and telling their own stories.
And it's also down to us, isn't it? Because it's about us valuing what we have and telling our food story. So what you guys are doing, telling the Kola Nut story, it's all part of that process. It's not us relying on other people to tell our story. It's about staying true to our authenticity and telling our Kola Nut story and making others value it the way we value it.
I think the opportunity for Kola Nut is even better than before. It first got its global debut through a drink, but as more chefs and people are introduced to it, who knows what they'll create? Imagine the possibilities. A Kola Nut flavored affogato, Kola Nut flavored ice cream, or a nice morning energy drink.
And for the actual cola drink, Karma Drinks is charting a new path with their supply chain and how they do business in Africa. The entire point of this podcast is to help Africa get the recognition it deserves in the global food ecosystem. That includes the farmers that source the Kola Nuts. If anything, the land that helped create a $270 billion company should certainly get a piece of the pie.
Right on! So if you love Coca-Cola, consider giving Karma Cola a taste to explore the authentic flavor of the Kola Nut. It's a delightful way to sample a hit of tradition while enjoying a familiar taste you love. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Plates Without Borders podcast. Do us a favor and rate us on your favorite podcasting platform. This episode was produced, written, and edited by myself, Chika Dunga, and Chisam Anelama.
Music selection and sound design also by myself, Chika Dunga. Mixing and mastering by Casey Ellis.
We especially thank our guest, Mark Pendergrass, author of For God, Country, and Coca-Cola, Chef Maria Bradford of Shwen, and Albert Tucker, chairman of the Karma Foundation. This episode was sponsored by Afrexim, also known as the African Export and Import Bank. The Plates Without Borders podcast is a product of African Food Changemakers, a vibrant community of entrepreneurs transforming Africa's agri-food landscape. To learn more about this podcast and to learn more about African Food Changemakers, visit our website at www.afchub.org. Thanks for listening. See you next time. This is Plates Without Borders by African Food Changemakers.